That's the voice. The voice. What is it about the voice that is so popular with people, even over instruments? The voice has pitch. Whoa! It has rhythm. But it also has something that no musical instrument has, and that is the art of language, to be able to make words. And that's what always, I think, puts the voice slightly ahead of in popularity terms. So what are we going to do tonight? We're doing a program about singers and vocalists from sort of mid-Victorian times up to the rock and roll era. Singer and vocalist. What is the difference between a singer and a vocalist? A singer is somebody who uses the voice. A vocalist is a person who sings in front or within a band. So, ladies and gentlemen, when did this era start? The era of popular music that we're talking about. And I thought, well, you know, there was always ditties and songs all the way through the ages, but it started in the early Victorian times. There was a singer and a dancer and a comic called Daddy Rice, and he used to put on black makeup and imitate the songs and the movements and the dances of the slaves. This was in America. His hit song was called Jump, Jing, Crow. And from that came the Christie minstrels, and you had minstrelsy. And originally they were black artists who played the original slave melodies from the plantations, but eventually they died out, and white artists came in, hence the blackface, you see. So that was popular from, I would say, 1840 to about the time of the First World War. So you had the minstrels up to then. From 1880, you had in America, Vaudeville. In England, music hall. You see, so that's 1880 was the real starting time. At this point, ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce my lovely guest partner in crime, Miss Joan Viskant from Chicago, USA. We're going to give you a duet to start with.
Should I?
Yes?
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. A duet from about the early years of the century, and the lady who sang it originally was a southerner called Blossom Seeley, and she was of the type that used to really do that.
Like this?
Yes, that's it.
How big was she? Was she?
No, she was not. In the days when ladies were quite big, she was quite small.
So this is.
So you're all right. Okay. I was her husband, Benny Fields, and a diminutive little man at the pianoforte, you see. So there we are, the blues shouter and the pianist. Take it away, gal. Here we go.
Hear that bluebird up in the tree.
What does he sing?
Ah, he sings a pretty song.
Choo, choo, choo.
And the joy he brings to you and me. When he sings a pretty song.
You'll hear him singing all day long.
Goodbye, skies of grey.
I'm going I need to lie down after that. Right, that was vaudeville. Just out of interest, there are many explanations about the origins of the word vaudeville. The one I like is vaudeville to be accepted by the town, because there were a lot of travelling shows, and if they were not good enough, they'd be told to move on. But if they were good, they were accepted into the town, and that's vaudeville. You learn something every day. Good. Okay, so music hall. Now we're looking at from 1880 onwards. This is in Britain. Famous stars: Marie Lloyd, Little Tich, with the big boots. We had, oh gosh, all the Costa comedians, Albert Chevalier. We had Dan Leno, who was a wonderful comic and died young. Now the thing about all these people was that they had to play in great large auditoriums without any microphones. There was a place called the Canterbury Music Hall in South London. It held 3,000 people. It opened in the 1860s and closed in 1912. And if you didn't sing loud enough, you got the bird or the big hook. So, oh yeah, just talking about Marie Lloyd. Now, Marie Lloyd, she dominated music hall because she was so popular. A comedian from Hoxton in the East End of London. She had 3 husbands, one of which was a music hall singer called Alec Hurley. Now, in the days when everybody belted out without a microphone, Alec Hurley was different. You remember Bud Flanagan? Bud Flanagan, of Flanagan and Allen. Now, he saw Alec Hurley play as a small child in the musical, and he said, I was bowled over by Alec Hurley because his voice was like silk. And he said, this is Bud, he said, I wanted to be just like him. And of course, under the arm, you see, it's a very relaxed style. So it could be done. You could play to 3,000 people and not strain your voice. Have you ever heard of a lady called Lily Morris? Lily Morris. She was a well-known singer of the sort of... There was Marie Lloyd, and there was Lily Morris. She'd been, I think she was born in about the 1880s, and she'd made a name for herself, mainly playing principal boy in pantomime, because she had strapping thighs. But well loved. And ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to invite Miss Joan Viskant back to... in a slightly different costume. And Lily Morris. Now, Miss Viskant comes from Chicago, USA, and I'm going to ask her to do the most difficult thing, and that is to sing a song in East London Cockney accent. You see, so are you ready, Joan?
Mrs. Moore, who lived next door, was such a dear old soul. Of children, she's got a score. Her husband's on the dole. I don't know how she manages to keep that long on shop. So I says to her today, as she was standing at the door, Maestro, please, don't have any more. Mrs. Moore, Mrs. Moore, please don't have any more. The more you have, the more you want, they say, and enough is as good as a feast any day. oh dear, don't have any more, Mrs. Moore. The little inn she uses most is called the Wooden Hat. She's always there at opening time and last out when it's shut. And when she's at a few, she tries to do the la-di-da and gets so ratty when they shout at her across the bar. Now, don't have any more, any more. Please don't have any more. The more you have, the more you want, they say. Enough is as good as a feast any day. If you have any more, never get through your front door. Too many double G's, give the ladies double G's. Don't have any more, Mrs. Moore.
In the old days of recording, if that came out on a record, it would be Joan Viskant, comedian with novelty accompaniment. Talking about gramophones, you know that the way they used to make the records in those days, we're talking about the early years of the century, you had a series of horns, like a piano would have an enormous horn over it, and all the musicians would have horns according to what they were playing. Violins couldn't be picked up at all, so they invented a thing called a strovile, which was a violin with a bloody great horn sticking out of it, you see. So, and it was very good. It did actually work. In those days of cylinders, they ran for about 1.5 minutes. And half of that was an announcement, you know, because somebody would come on at the beginning and they would say, banjo solo, coconut dance, played by Mr. Fred Van Epps, Edison Bell record. That took half the record. But anyway, I think there's a picture of Nellie Melba, Dame Nellie Melba, broadcasting or recording in Chelmsford, and she's holding what looks like a lamp with a handle, and she's singing a lovely operatic aria in it, and she's got her handbag. So anyway, it was very difficult. What I said was that the musicians had to make great sacrifices in the fact that they couldn't sing quietly. Would you like to hear a demonstration of a ragtime singing as it was in 1912? Yes. You've asked for it. This is about a lazy man. It's just a quick chorus. Bill Simmons was a lazy goon, as you would all agree. When work comes round, he couldn't be found, so tired he couldn't see. But when at last a band came near, Bill would come to life. No matter whether it was Susan's band or just a drum and fife. And as they came his way. You should hear him say, "Now, mister, let me tell you when the music starts, I can't keep still, got a feeling in my feet just like some minus dance, though it was against my will. I'm trying very hard to concentrate, what shall I do? Music keeps me going like a jumping jack, gonna dance till the band gets through." They don't write songs like that anymore. 1912, that's the time of the Titanic, isn't it? People say there was all ragtime on the Titanic. They did play some ragtime, but I've seen the actual music of the Titanic. There was a sort of menu of music, and it was mainly things like the Quaker Girl they were playing. So it was really, the ragtime came in when things were really getting bad. So there you are. Right, okay. Ragtime songs. You had, after the initial thing of mammy songs and plantation songs, you had dialect songs. And they sort of searched farther afield to the South Sea Islands or China or Egypt. I have an Italian dialect song. Would you like to hear that? You're not sure? Right. Now this was written in 1914, and it's about an Italian who's living in New York, and he sees his girlfriend off on the boat to Italy, and to cheer himself up he goes to the Coney Island Fun Fair. And what did he see? He sees his girlfriend with another man. Yes. She'd skipped the boat and she'd gone to the Coney Island Fun Fair. And what's more, and I'll do another chord for this, she's doing the hoochie coochie dance. And the Italian man just couldn't make anything of that. So in dialect, after much abide will die. Cause my mariucci gone away, oh. How when I see that steamboat leave, I don't know, it's not time to grieve. Steamboat, she'd go to Italy, she went away. I know, cause I see my mariucci gone away. Don't you tell nobody what I tell you, cause what do you think my mariucci do? Now mariucci, she make a hoochie macoochie, check out the Coney Island. It's make me smile. She goes like a this, like a that, like a this. She knew the dance, never move with her feet, with the funny style. Someone shining like this. Hello, God, you break your back. I'm a mariucci. She make a hoochie macoochie. Play a ragtime. Syncopation. Spaghetti. Second operator. And in this stage I jump off quick, cause that dance it make me sick. I say, mariucci, break my heart in my big thighs. Then somebody chucked a ripe tomato in my face. Mariucci, say you better make a quick skip, or my Tony will break you in two. Now mariucci, make a hoochie macoochie on the Coney Island. Hey, to make me smile. She goes like a this, like a that, like a this. She knows the dance, never move her feet in the funny style. Someone shouting like this. Hey, look out, you break your back. Mama mariucci, she make a hoochie macoochie. Oh, baby, now my mariucci, she make a hoochie macoochie. So, we mentioned vaudeville. Vaudeville, popular from 1880 onwards, and it sort of merged into the jazz age. There were circuits of theatres. And as an artist, you could never stop working. Some vaudeville performers, if they came from Oklahoma, they would sort of work in Oklahoma, Kansas, and Missouri, and that would be okay for the whole year. There was enormous amount of ballrooms and theatres. Even the black artists had their own circuit of theatres, the TOBA circuit, which of course the artists nicknamed Tough on Black Asses circuit, and they were very tough. Now, you'll know vaudeville performers because of this way of projecting. Let's see, W.C. Fields, if you hear the way he used to speak, and Al Jolson. Let me see, who else we've got? Oh yes, Eddie Cantor. I mean, Al Jolson was the son of a cantor with marvellous carrying voices. And we had, oh yes, Burns and Allen, yeah, George Burns, lived over 100. He was an old vaudevillian. And, oh yes, have you ever heard of Ted Lewis? Ted Lewis, he was a clarinet player, master showman, and came in the early jazz age, and he had this voice where he said, and you know, folks, be kind to your mother. You know, those sort of things. He would give you advice about life. And this man, he spoke like that all the time. And one of his band musicians told a story once. He said that he came in to see all his band smoking marijuana. And the room was thick with smoke. All these jazz musicians, typical. And he came in, he said, boys, what are you doing? Don't you know you'll ruin your lives? It all came, that delivery, it's called vaudeville delivery. It came from the old medicine shows. And that's travelling shows, tent shows. And you'd have Dr. Spock's patented elixir. And it was the man who advertised that. And Fairground, they were called Fairground Barkers, you see. So that was the style. W.C. Fields was typical, you know. Said, why, certainly, you know. And that carried everywhere. So you had all these vaudevillians. A person that comes to mind was the great Sophie Tucker. Where are you? There we are. Change of costume.
Do I look like Sophie?
About 30 stone lighter. Because
I've eaten all week.
I'll tell you what's happening. Your pearls are rattling against your microphone. So you'll have to put them in your mouth. Or over the back. That's better. So tell us about Sophie Tucker. What do you know about Sophie?
Well, Sophie liked to give good advice.
Did she?
Yes. For example, ladies, you know, up until the age of 18, a girl needs good parents. From 18 to the age of 35, a girl needs good looks. And from the age of 35 to 50, a girl needs a good personality. From the age of 50 onwards, a girl needs good cash. And I've been poor and I've been rich, but rich is better.
So what's with the handkerchief?
Well, everybody needed a prop, you know. And in those days, it just gave her something to do. She had a focus, you see. And now you have a focus too. Follow my star. See, it works.
So Sophie was called the Red Hot Mama, and was popular until she died. I mean, she was.
And not so popular.
What? What after she died? So we're sort of like in the late teens now, the end of the ragtime era, and we're coming into the early jazz era, about 1920. Now, something happened in 1920, and that was a craze, commercial craze for the blues. Now, blues had been written down for the first time in 1914 by a composer called W.C. Handy. And this sort of spread to New York, and the early jazz bands used to do quite a lot of blues. Anyway, imagine this red-hot mama tradition of the lady vocalist with a small band. There was a singer called Mamie Smith, and she sang a song called the Harlem Blues, and it sold nothing. So they changed it to the Crazy Blues, and it sold 1 million. But it wasn't to white people, it was to the black population. They took blues to their hearts. And there were various people. You may have heard of Ethel Waters, lovely singer, who went on to great fame, and 5 Smith girls, all called Smith, no relation to each other. Yeah? There was Mamie, who was about 20 stone. There was Clara, 15.5 stone. Laura and Trixie, and the Empress of the Blues herself, Bessie Smith. Now, Bessie was from the deep south, and you're going to demonstrate a bit of Bessie to us.
Absolutely. I don't think I need this anymore.
Bessie had a foul mouth.
Do I have to demonstrate
that? No, you don't. So, here we go with Give Me a Pigfoot.
25 cents, I ain't paying 25 cents to go nowhere. 'Cause listen here, up in Harlem, every Saturday night, when the town folks get together, just too tired, they all congregate at the all-night strike. And what they do is touch Don't you go away.
Right. She's from Chicago. You know, all these singers, they had names like the Nashville Nightingale. From Chicago, she'd be called the Meatpacking Mama. I think so. Now, people like Bessie Smith could do very well on the early recordings because she had a real beefy voice. But amazing things happened. In 1925, they invented microphones and electrical recording, and that completely revolutionized singing in the 1920s. It meant that people didn't have to belt it out. Up to 1925, who do you reckon made the most records? A male singer in America, jazz singer, who made the most records? Not Bing Crosby.
Al Jolson.
It wasn't Al Bowley, he was from Britain. It was Irving Kaufman, who was bloody dreadful. He was awful. And you can tell what they sing like. You just, if you look up the old discography books, you know, of the lists of the records, if somebody started singing in 1916, you knew the way he was going to sing. Whereas if he started singing in 1926, he'd be a different kettle of fish. I mentioned Bing Crosby because he really revolutionized male singing away from the old Irving Kaufman. I won't imitate Irving Kaufman, it's too dreadful to do. But Bing, of course, was absolutely lovely. And he came into it, he was in a vocal duo to start with, two of them. And then he was employed by the Paul Whiteman Orchestra. Now, Paul Whiteman's band was the most famous dance orchestra in America. 1924, they premiered Rhapsody in Blue with George Gershwin at the piano. And Whiteman had the idea of doing symphonic jazz, big string section. And he bought the famous jazz musicians. He said, I want you, and I want you, and I want you. And he paid for all these chaps to come into the orchestra, had special arrangements made. And he had the duo with Bing Crosby. And they used to do what we call scat vocal, which was a wordless vocal. And I shall sing a Bing Crosby song from 1926, yes? Okay, with the scat vocal. Right. Sun goes down, tide goes out, people gather round and they all begin to shout. Hey, hey, I'm good out here, it's a treat to beat the feet on the Mississippi man. Beat the feet on the Mississippi man. Now wanna dance, do they do? Lordy, I'm telling you, they don't need no band. They keep time clapping their hands, just as happy as a cow, chewing on the cup when the people feed the feet on the Mississippi man. Lordy, how they play. Really sway, bop, bop, how would you do it? Boy, it really kills me. Really thrills me. Take it away, boy. There we go. Sun goes down, tide goes out, people gather round and they all begin to shout. Hey, hey, I'm caught eyes, treat to beat the feet on the Mississippi man, treat to beat the feet on the Mississippi man. Now, what a dance do they do? Lordy, I'm telling you, they don't need no band. They give time and clapping their hands, just as happy as a cow, chewing on the cup and the people beat the feet. People beat the feet. People beat the feet on the Mississippi man. Mississippi man. That's jazz. So from two of them, they became the Rhythm Boys. And that's how Bing started, and he was singing with the most famous band, Paul Whiteman. So you had a crop of girl singers coming into music who had light voices. You had Ruth Etting. Now Ruth Etting was a Hollywood film called Love Me or Leave Me, was made with Doris Day playing Ruth Etting. He was beaten up a lot by her gangster boyfriend, James Cagney, of course. And you had Annette Hanshaw, very sweet. And you had Helen Kane. Have you heard of Helen Kane? Well, Helen Kane was not exactly, but she was the voice of Betty Boop, the cartoon. So, ladies and gentlemen, here she is once more to give us a rendition.
I brought my lunch.
Of Helen Kane's style. So what do you know about Helen Kane?
She was very petite, and she had a great figure.
Did she?
No?
No, she was fat.
She was huge.
Yeah, right, okay.
I want to be loved by you, just you, and nobody else but you. I want to be loved by you, love. I want to be kissed by you, just you, and nobody else but you. I want to be kissed by you, love. If I couldn't desire with anyone higher, then fill with desire to make you my own. I want to be loved by you, just you, and nobody else but you. I want to be loved by you, love.
Yeah, you can start.
Lovely.
So Bing Crosby, the Wall Street crash had a lot to answer for, because in 1929 everything went pear-shaped, and Paul Whiteman had to make a lot of cuts in his orchestra. So he cut down half the violins, and who got paid the worst in the band? The singers. So the poor old rhythm
Hasn't
boys.
changed.
No, the poor old rhythm boys had to go, you see. So they split up, and Bing found himself singing with a band called Gus Arnheim's Coconut Grove Orchestra. And the thing about that was a Coconut Grove in a big hotel in Los Angeles. And what was amazing is that from the late 20s, all these dance orchestras, they had a microphone above the band, and they would do broadcasts. And this is what happened. Bing singing on his own broadcasts with Gus Arnheim, and they realised what a beautiful voice he had. And the old, you came to me from out of nowhere, you see, and all the ladies swooned, you see. But it was radio. It was radio that made Bing Crosby, and of course he went on to great fame. In the early days, he was a bit of a naughty boy, because he used to smoke me on drugs, and he was known to have a drink. And he was busted in a car park once in Los Angeles.
It never happens anymore, does it?
No, not that sort of stuff, you see. And he married a singer, an actress called Dixie Lee, and Dixie straightened him out. She got him off the bottle and away from smoking things, and of course the rest is history. I'm very lucky to say that I actually worked with Bing Crosby. Yeah, in 1976, that shows you how old I am. 1976, I was on an album with him in London. He he was on his way to the golf course, you know, and did a whole series of albums at Decca Studios, now no longer there. And we had a big orchestra, and the album was all songs that Bing had never sung before. Like, he'd never sung As Time Goes By. He'd never sung that old Black Magic. He'd never sung Nevertheless I'm in Love With You, you see. So this was a whole album of pieces that he'd missed somehow when you think of the songs that Bing Crosby had sung. Now the producer was an amazing man, because he was a real student of the early days when Bing, before he was a crooner, when he was working with Paul Whiteman, when all the jazzers were in the orchestra. So he said to us, he said, look, when he comes in, I want you to play a jazz piece by Bix Beiderbecke. Now, he was in the Whiteman band, a big friend of Bing Crosby. He said, play the Davenport Blues by Bix Beiderbecke, and we'll turn up all the microphones and we'll see what Bing has to say, because he didn't say very much about those early days. So, you've heard of Kenny Baker? Kenny Baker, wonderful trumpet player. He was there, and he started it, and I sort of backing in, and old Bing shuffled in. He was a bit slow on his feet. And he said, hey, he said, that's the Davenport Blues. I said, yes. He said, that's by Bix Beiderbecke. He says, yes. He says, I used to share a room with him. Really? He says, yeah. He says, terrible socks. Nothing else. We couldn't get anything else. So, crooners in America, the ones approaching Bing was Rudy Valley. Rudy Valley, very famous. He came from Connecticut. It's a difficult name to say when you've got badly fitting edge in Connecticut. And he had a band called the Connecticut Yankees. And he was famous for singing through a megaphone. Remember? Megaphone. The only trouble with a megaphone is that if you turned slightly away, you couldn't hear a bloody thing. Had a talking picture of life everything through. See, it was very directional. So there was Rudy Valley, then there was Russ Columbo. Now he unfortunately died young. He could have been up, you know, second to Crosby, but he went round a friend's house who was a collector of antique firearms. So I didn't tell you what happened for old Russ. And of course, we had the gentleman mentioned, Al Bowling. Al Bowling, greatly loved. He sang with the Lou Stone Orchestra in England, and he sang with Ray Noble's band. And very handsome man, more Brill cream on his hair than you can imagine. He was very dark and dusky because he came from South Africa. And there is a couple of films of Al Bowling, and he's one for the women, you know. And he used to make love to the microphone. I'll show you. I've got one here.
One he prepared earlier.
Yeah, I prepared this earlier. This cost £1 in the antique market at Ilford Town Hall. And this is what Al used to do after he hitched up the trousers. The very thought of you, and I forget the very old things that everyone offers. Unfortunately, Al, even with that, which is the most marvellous thing you could do, his career took a bit of a dive, and during the war, unfortunately, got caught in a bombing raid and lost his life. But what a marvellous singer he was, Al Bowling. Round of applause for Al Bowling. Okay. So, the 20s moved slowly into the 1930s, and you had a different brand of singing. You had, as far as dance music and jazz was concerned, a different attitude to it. People like Louis Armstrong, who sort of played from the early 1920s, if you spoke to Louis Armstrong and said, "You're a jazz player," he'll say, "No, man, I play for dancing. I'm a dance band man." You know, that was their... They believed that they played for dancing and clubs. So you had real critics coming after Rhapsody in Blue and the first big concert and the Carnegie Hall concerts with jazz. You had first big criticism and appreciation of jazz, and it took a bit of an elevated thing. Harlem in New York became very popular as a place to go and see the black orchestras, people like Duke Ellington and, many other people, Cab Calloway. We're doing a bit of him a little bit later on. And fairly wealthy people would do something called slumming. Slumming. And that was to go into working class areas and to see what they got to offer. And of course you went to Harlem and they had wonderful things. And I do shows often of the music of Harlem because I do Fats Waller style piano, and I say when Duke Ellington first went to Harlem in 1923, he said it was unbelievable, the world's most glamorous atmosphere, just like the Arabian Nights. And then I say, but of course he'd never been to Epsom. So Billie Holiday was the next one. Billie Holiday.
Wait.
Now, Billie used to wear these long gloves.
Does anyone know why? Besides it being very fashionable.
Injections.
That's right. Yeah, she did too many drugs and liked to cover that up.
Okay. So this was one of Billie's great hits and made quite a hit in the last years by Alison Moyet, called That Old Devil Called Love.
Rocks in my bed.
Billie Holiday was very influenced by Louis Armstrong. You have a lot of the timing of Louis Armstrong. She was actually the daughter of a guitarist who played for one of the big bands, and she was not let loose on the musical scene by her father because he wanted to be seen as a much younger man. And he said, I can't be seen with a 17-year-old daughter. So poor old Billie was kept hidden for a time. What were some of the other singers in those 30s days? Right, you're right. Right, well, ladies and gentlemen, we're just going to have a few minutes after this, but I think we'll talk, just before we depart for a short interval, about Cab Calloway. Cab Calloway was a singer from Baltimore, and he took over a band. Now, they had some wonderful bands in Harlem, in New York, in the late 20s, but if you didn't have a front man, it was no good, no matter how well the musicians played. And Cab Calloway was that front man. He used to do things like this. It's very difficult for somebody at my age to do that, you see. And he had tails, and he'd go round and round, and the tails would go like that. He didn't have short hair, he had long hair with about, I think he borrowed Al Bowley's hair oil, because it would go splot like that, you see. And he'd go, "Wah!" Anyway, I think it's time to do a song. Will you help me lead it with audience participation?
Okay.
Right. Heidi, 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 hi.
Heidi, 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 hi.
What do you think? Yeah, right.
Loud.
Hody, 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 ho.
Hody, 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 ho.
Better than the Mormon Tabernacle Choir. We give you Minnie the Moocher. Now, have you ever heard the story of Minnie the Moocher? She was a low-down hoochie coocher. She was the roughest, toughest, frail, but Minnie had a heart as big as a whale. Heidi, 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 hi. Heidi, 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 hi. Hody, 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 ho. Hody, 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 ho. Heedy, 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 hee. Hody, 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 ho. Hody, 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 ho. Now Minnie had a bloke. His name was Smokey. She loved him though he was cokey. He took her down to Chinatown and taught her how to kick the gong around. Heidi, 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 hi. Heidi, 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 hi. Keep up, beep, 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 Very good, very good. Now Minnie had a friend. He was the king of Sweden. Gave her everything that she was needing. He gave her his house, built of gold and steel, a platinum car with diamond-studded wheels. Now, honey, 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 give it up, give it up, give it up. Hody, 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 ho. Now he gave her his house and his racing horses. Each meal she ate was a dozen courses. He gave her a fortune of nickels and dimes. Sat around and counted them all a million times. And deep, high, deep, high. Keep up and deep and hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it, hold it. So Harlem was a very popular place, Wonderful jazz music made. There was two great avenues. There was 7th Avenue and Lenox Avenue, and in between those two great avenues were loads of little streets, and everyone had thousands of clubs. You had the larger venues like the Cotton Club and Small's Paradise, and you had the Savoy Ballroom. Resident at the Savoy Ballroom was the swing band. We're in the swing era now, big band era, of Chick Webb, who's a little drummer man. You've never, from a small guy, you've never heard such drumming, such powerful drumming from Chick Webb. He saw a young singer, age 16, win a talent competition. I think it was at the Harlem Opera House. And he employed her. Her name was Ella Fitzgerald. And she embodies that swing style of singing, the jazzy style of singing swing. And she changed her style over the years, and the glorious songbooks of the 1950s can't be equaled. So, but we're back in 1937.
When she just started.
Yeah. Now it says here, we're going to recreate Ella Fitzgerald with the ink spots. And I've got to be the ink spots. I'll be one of them. Is that the right tempo?
Yeah.
Into each life, some rain was falling, but too much is falling in mine. Now into each heart, a tear must fall. But someday the sun is gonna shine. Honey baby, honey pie. Some folks lose the blues in their hearts. But when I think of you, baby, another shower starts. Into each life, a little rain must fall. But too much, now it's falling in mine. Now, Miss Ella.
Into each life some rain must fall, but too much is falling in mine. Into each heart some tears must fall, but someday the sun will shine. Some folks can lose the blues in their heart, but when I think of you, another shower starts. Into each life some rain must fall, but too much is falling in mine.
Yeah. Now into each life, some rain must fall. But too much is falling in mine. Into each heart, some tears must fall. Someday the sun will shine. Some folks can lose the blues in their heart.
But when I think of you, another shower starts.
Fade away.
Into each life some rain must fall, but too much is falling in mine.
Honey baby. I met and worked with Bing Crosby, who thought I was quite good actually. He said, you're not bad for a beginner. And I said, well, you're not bad for an older. No, it was very nice to work with Old Bing. But you knew and met Ella Fitzgerald.
I was very lucky. I've met a lot of singers in my life, and there's a lot of competition among certain singers. And Ella Fitzgerald taught me one thing, and that's you could be a huge star and be a wonderful person. I was working in the south of France, and her musician, her drummer, lost his drums, and they borrowed my drummer's drums. We were at the same jazz festival, and she insisted, without my knowledge, she insisted that I come back so she could meet me and thank me personally when I knew nothing about it. So I came back and she sat me down and she talked to me for ages, and I don't remember most of what she said because I was totally in awe. But I do remember she said, now, you are going to have to let me come backstage to see you, and you're going to have to let me stay here for a while so I can talk to you as well. And I thought, oh yes, Ella, anytime you want. She was a lovely, lovely lady, and she carried that on through her whole life and her whole career. She supported lots of charities as well. She was a wonderful lady.
She told you of her influences, didn't she, in those early days?
Martha Ray was a great influence on her. Do you remember Martha Ray? Yeah. She's well known as a comedian, but she could sing, she could swing, she was wonderful. And she appeared in pictures before Ella really got going, and was a great influence on her.
Yeah, so that's lovely. Ella Fitzgerald, ladies and gentlemen. Vocalists in Europe, it says here, vocalists in Europe in the 1930s. In England, especially on the radio, everything was totally destroyed as far as swing and rhythm were concerned because of a man called John Reith, Lord Reith, strict Presbyterian who hated Americanisms and did very much to stop the lady singers with all the dance orchestras. They all had to sing in the Queen's English. And it applied also to men singers. Now, you remember Henry Hall and his dance orchestra. This is a case in point. A Reith, approved singer was the man who sang with Henry Hall, a man called Val Rosing. And the thing about him was that he sang in cut glass English. And you'll know the record because he was the one who sang the Teddy Bear's Picnic. And if you remember it, if you go down in the woods today, bloody dreadful. Thank you, Lord Reith. Thank you, Lord Reith. And we had Jessie Matthews, of course, wonderful Jessie Matthews. Again, she sang in the Queen's English, but amazing, she was quite a girl, young Jessie. And Gracie Fields. I'm not asking you to do Gracie.
No.
But Gracie Fields, a wonderful range. You know, she could be right up there.
A national treasure.
Well, yes. And in England in the 1930s, there were American expats who came and stayed. Have you heard of Adelaide Hall? I've always wanted to play there, you know. Adelaide Hall, she was the star of Blackbirds, and she married somebody, and they came over and they owned a nightclub here for most of the 30s because, let's face it, England treated black performers much better than in America. And not so many years ago, Adelaide has departed now at the age of 80, I think. But I worked with her, and the week before I worked with my band with another singer called Elizabeth Welch, great singer. Both black artists, both the stars of the musicals on Broadway in the early 20s. They knew each other. They almost sort of had a British accent. It was a sort of a transatlantic accent. They lived in England for so long. Anyway, what happened was I worked with Liz Welch on the TV, and we did 10 Cents a Dance. Lovely old song, 10 Cents a Dance. And our arranger wrote the verse. Now, the verse was quite difficult. And Liz, well, she couldn't quite get the verse, and we tried, but it didn't work out, so we had to do something else. So the next week I was called to Adelaide Hall's flat to rehearse with her, and I was humouring her a little bit. And I said, Addie, I said, we worked with a dear friend of yours last week. Who? She said. I said, well, Liz Welsh. Oh, dear Liz, what a wonderful artiste. We were in the Blackbird's Review together, you know. Oh, we go back, more years than we know. A dear friend, and what an artiste. She said, what did she do? I said, well, we tried 10 cents a dance, and quite frankly, we had a little bit of trouble on the verse with Liz, and she didn't quite make it. She says, well, quite frankly, darling, she says, Liz Welsh has never been a professional. Right, abroad.
That's me.
That's no. Germany, I'm talking. You had Marlene Dietrich, of course, in Germany, but she sort of decamped in the early 30s to America. Her place was taken as Hitler's favourite singer by Zara Leander. Great thing. So they were the darlings of Germany. Just out of interest, did you know that at the very beginning of the Nazi time, they put a complete ban on all Jewish composed music, like Benny Goodman or things like that, and anybody like Duke Ellington, black music. And that ban lasted, but not for very long. You would I don't suppose they told Hitler, but Goebbels had a sneaky liking for swing music, and he relaxed the ban. And eventually, by the middle of the war, 1943, you looked in the musical papers in Berlin, and there's records by Duke Ellington, Jimmy Lunsford, Fats Waller. They had no idea that Fats Waller was a black musician. Anyway, so morale was more important. So, France. Now, what about France? Maurice Chevalier, of course, and Charles Trenet. Last appearance in 2000, apparently. And a person I'm very fond of, Jean Sablon, okay? And, of course, Piaf, which is really hitting the news. What can you tell us about Edith Piaf?
Well, the difference between Piaf and a lot of the music hall performers was that she came from the streets, and her style was basically, she never stopped begging for money. She never stopped begging for love. And it was a very dramatic style. And it came from the heart. And she basically wanted your approval all the time. So it was totally different than the boulevardier, the very gay, happy singers. It was always very dramatic.
Yes, but
so I won't do her.
We're going to play a song that was done in America and England under the title "Life Is a Song," but the singer Jean Sablon recorded it, and he had that wonderful French guitarist Django Reinhardt, gypsy guitarist, to back him. And Joan is going to sing this in the French. I'm sorry to say that Django Reinhardt won't be with us because he's been caught on the M25.
It happens.
Translated from Life is a Song, it's much more romantic. It's "Cette chanson est pour vous, Madame." This song is for you, pretty miss. Okay?
L'existence, je suppose, n'est souvent qu'une chanson que nous chantons de mille façons, couplets joyeux et couplets moroses. Si vraiment notre destin n'est qu'un refrain,
Hollywood, and of course you have many people that came up in the early days. Of course, Judy Garland. More words have been written about Judy Garland, and that other lovely singer who actually auditioned at the same time, Deanna Durbin, lovely singer, who gave up at the height of her fame. And Judy, of course, went on, but a lot of personal life troubles. Do you remember the lower voice, Alice Faye? Alice Faye, lovely singer. Of the men, Fred Astaire, of course. I won't do his... Dick Powell. Dick Powell was in all the Gold Diggers songs, Gold Diggers films, and the thing about Dick Powell, he had a marvellous tenor voice, but you put him up against Fred Astaire and the others, he hadn't quite got rhythm. He wasn't a jazzy singer, but that really didn't matter because he had such a lovely voice. Do you remember Dennis Morgan? Dennis Morgan, lovely singer. Didn't, he went into straight singing. And Alan Jones, the Donkey Serenade. And looking at the list of people, you had Mae West. Now, Mae West, she was one who started singing around 1916, and she wrote all her stuff, didn't she? Mae West.
Clever lady.
Yes. And who did she play in all her films? She played sort of Diamond Lil and experienced ladies.
Does that mean I have to be an experienced lady for this next one?
Just for the 3 minutes.
I'll do my best.
Okay. Now, what is this song that we're going to do?
Well, let's ask the audience. What was Mae West's most favorite line? I don't have to say anything, do I? I believe that everyone in life should have a mission. Making people happy is the height of my ambition. When I get them happy, well, they stay in that condition. 'Cause I have a system all my own. I got a lot of what I got. And what I've got so mine. And I assure you I can cure you when you're feeling blue. Come up and see me sometime.
I will.
I'm always in. Heaps plenty gin. I'm ready, rain or shine. I bet you'll be in a different mood before I'm through.
I'd say.
Come up and see me sometime. You'll be at ease. You can relax and stay as long as you please. Just bring a needle for my talking machine. Get what I mean? And we can dance in between. I'll make a fire as warm as you desire. A cold room is a crime. If you don't get my meaning, you're as dumb as you can be. Come up and see me sometime. They say they're mighty hot out there on that movie lot. Now really, that's a crime. Please wire Mae West, tell her to stay west. She's an Eskimo. Come up and see Joni sometime. Those gals with it make me laugh. They don't worry me a bit. I'm hit to them trying to steal my line. And I'll bet you a fat man that I've forgotten more than them names will ever learn. If in doubt, come up and see me sometime. Now it's just too bad for any man who brags in my presence that he can't be had. You know why he's bragging. He just can't take it. He ain't clever enough. He ain't so tough. If I'm interested enough to start doing my stuff. tight, because the pressure's gonna be mighty hard when you come up and see me sometime.
Was a film called The Birth of the Blues, and Bing Crosby starred in it. He was a very established star by 1942. Another young lady coming up, the lovely Mary Martin. Mary Martin, who went on to star in South Pacific, and I think she was JR's mum. JR's mum. Larry Hagman's
That's how I knew her anyway.
Yeah. So we're going to recreate for you a very short duet. I shall be Bing Crosby, the best thing I can do, and Joan will be Mary Martin. Now, she didn't move around an awful lot, did she, Mary?
Thank God for that.
All right, so this is the lovely... It takes place in this film about how jazz came up to Chicago in 1915, and they're singing an old ragtime song, and then suddenly the audience really took on the rhythm, you see, and that's the story. So this is an old song called Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nellie. Bing. Wait till the sun shines, Nellie, when the clouds go drifting by. I can't stand to see you crying. When love is playing with wonder, sweetheart, you and I. Let the dark days of sunny lonely lane in the sweet by and She not only knew Ella Fitzgerald, but she actually... Tell him, I'm too embarrassed.
Oh, wait, first, can I just tell the story about this? About Nellie, you forgot.
Oh, did I?
Well, I was in America
yes.
On New Year's Eve, and apparently it's a tradition that the Wall Street Stock Exchange every year sings Wait Till the Sun Shines, Nellie. And it doesn't work. But they do every single year. So if you sang this song in America, they'd all know it.
Oh, right.
There you go. Okay, right.
You learn something every day.
Absolutely. Now, shall I tell my story?
Tell it. Well, yes.
Well, I was very, very lucky. I was invited to lunch one day, and it was in France. And I wasn't told who was going to be there and everything. I went and I sat down. And who should be cooking but Frank Sinatra? And he made lunch, which was rather delicious, actually, Italian. And he sat down next to me, and he had the bluest eyes. And not blue like the normal kind of blue. In fact, it was a little bit strange because it was blue like the really pale Chinese dishes that you see. It was a really strange color blue, but absolutely amazing. And I was staring at him, and he ignored me most of the lunch. But later on, many years later, I sat down at a dinner, and he was sitting across from me. And he used to drink at least a bottle of whiskey before lunch, maybe even breakfast. So he was very unpredictable at the time, really wasn't a very happy bunny. So nobody wanted me to talk to him, and they positioned people next to him who they thought would be very charming and keep him talking and everything. And at one point, I just had to ask, because I'd read something in the paper, and I said, excuse me, I'm a musician, and I read that you did Lengths Underwater, and he suddenly woke up, and he was so happy, and everyone was furious, because for the next 10 minutes, all he did was talk about breathing. He said he could do circular breathing. I don't think that's possible, because instrumentalists do it by kind of storing air in their cheeks, but I never saw him with his cheeks puffed out. But you weren't going to kind of argue with Frank Sinatra, so he talked and on and on and on. And the thing was about Frank Sinatra is that he admired musicians immensely, and he felt at home with musicians. And I think that's probably the only people he really felt at home with. So that's my Frank Sinatra story.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to conclude with... We're going to conclude, yes, we're going to conclude with one of the lovely duets. You'll know it. Now thanks for the memory of sentimental verse, nothing in my purse, and chuckles when the preacher says, for better or for worse.
How lovely it was. Thanks for the memory of Schubert's serenade, little things will change, traffic jams and anagrams and bills we never paid.
How lovely it was. We who could laugh over big things were parted by only a slight thing.
I wonder if we did the right thing. Oh well, that's life, I guess.
I love your dress.
Do you?
It's fitting.
Thanks for the memory of faults that you forgave, rainbows on a wave,
And stockings in a basin when a fella needs a shave. Thank you so much.
thanks for the memory of tinkling temple bells, alma mater yells,
And Cuban rum and towels from the very best hotels.
how lovely it was. Thanks for the memory of cushions on the floor, hash with dinted more, that pair of gay pajamas that you bought and never wore.
Say, I wonder, whatever happened to those pajamas?
Huh? We said goodbye with a highball.
That I got as high as a steeple, but we were intelligent people.
No tears, no fuss. Hooray for us. Strictly entre nous, darling, how are you?
And how are all those little things that never did come true?
Awfully glad I met you.
Cheerio and toodaloo.
Thank you
Thank you
so much.
Say good night, Johnny. Yeah. Where is Minnie?
Where is Minnie?
I want my Minnie.
I want my Minnie.
Has she been here?
Yeah.
Kicking the gong around. Now you all know Minnie.
You all know Minnie.
She's tall and skinny.
Tall and skinny.
And she gets her pleasure.
Yeah.
Kicking the gong around. Yes, sir. You can tell Smokey Joe was here at the grand, and she departed.
And she departed.
Those curtains parted,
The curtain parted.
and there stood Minnie,
Yeah.
kicking the gong around. Now play that doghouse music on. You can tell us Smokey Joe was here and had to go, and she departed.
And she departed.
Those curtains parted,
The curtain parted.
and there stood Minnie, kicking the gong around. This physical effort is taking its toll. Right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to do a number that was originally featured by the three Boswell sisters. And Joan is going to be all three of them. And it's a nice arrangement of top hat, white tie, and tails. You'll like this one. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3.
Hoodly ho, hoodly ho, hoodly ho, hoodly ho, la la la, la 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 la. Putting on my top hat, tying up my white tie, brushing off my tails. I'm doing on my shirt front, putting in my shirt studs, polishing my nails. I'm stepping out, my dear, to breathe an atmosphere that simply reeks with class. And I trust that you'll excuse my dust when I step on the gas. So I'll be there, putting down my top hat, mussing up my white tie, dancing in my tails. Hoodly ho, hoodly ho, hoodly ho, hoodly ho, la la la, la 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 la. Ready to suit, Saturday play, I'll be a king just for the day. I'm happy, Lordy, Lordy, I'm happy. I borrowed a hat, she's got to shine. I got a date at 8:45 where they're dancing. Everybody that's dancing. I look keen and what I mean, I simply read with class. On my way, excuse my dust when I step on the gas. tonight I'm dressed like a groom cause I'm dancing. I'm happy cause I'm dancing. Oh, that's why I'm putting